Good afternoon again. This is Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends Blogspot. Today is Monday, June 26, 2006. And let's begin by taking a look at the Qs right now. The NASDAQ 100 Trust I've got on the screen. And today the Qs really didn't do much of anything at all. They were slightly higher, I guess, but traded in a pretty tight range, trapped underneath this 5-day moving average, and more importantly, this 38.50 level. And of course, at 38.70, when we back it up a little bit, looks like the more significant level of resistance. But again, here on the hourly time frame, now we previously had been looking at inverted head and shoulders. Now we're looking at a head and shoulders potential topping pattern, which adds more significance to that 37.90 level that we're watching as support. So it's a lot of back and forth in here, and it's, you know, that's the thing with patterns. When you see patterns in the market, for head and shoulders, ascending triangles, descending, whatever, you know, you tend to see things and it doesn't ever materialize into being anything. We're looking at this as a potential inverted head and shoulder, and now it's looking like, well, now we're back to a regular head and shoulder reversal pattern. And bottom line is, let's just listen to the message of the market. Let's listen to price. Price will tell us what to do. I think breaking below 37.90, that tells us to become extremely defensive. Above 38.50, we can start to think a little bit long, and above 39, that's where we can get a little bit more aggressive on the long side. Looking at the spiders, the SPY, S&P 500, we've been looking at this little triangle in here that we said will typically break out about 2/3 of the way to the apex, and that's just about there. Now, I don't know if this thing's breaking out to the upside. If it is, obviously that's going to be good for the rest of the market. It needs to take out this 125.40 or 125.35 level first, and right here we can see the definition to this lower trend line, and you can see that it's still coiled up right in there. And I mistakenly said the Fed was Tuesday this week. It's a Wednesday, Thursday meeting, so we're not going to get any resolution really from an outside stimulus from the Fed until later on in the week. Meanwhile, the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 are just kind of trading sideways. The IWM, the Russell 2000, is looking a lot more bullish, and in fact it broke out past that level of resistance we were looking at, held there for quite a while, and that is throughout the day, and we saw a nice addition to that rally towards the end of the day. Someone had a comment about some possible rebalancing and how that might be affecting this, but I think realistically, even getting up to 70 isn't really a significant event. Holding above 70, though, then potentially we could get a little bit more excited about this. Let's go ahead and take a look at some individual stocks that I'd mentioned yesterday, and keep this video short enough so I can get it uploaded so that you guys can see it. AZPN, Aspen Technology, I got involved in the stock early on and did get stopped out. I had suggested buying it above at 1240 and adding to it above at about 1255. Wouldn't you know it, 1255 was the high. I printed it, and I said stop at 1230. So should be out with a small loss there. MDTL, that is the Metis Technology, late day. It did get above that $20.20 level. I did end up adding to my position. I don't really like buying them once they've been extended like that, but I figured, you know, give it a shot here. And I own some. It's not a large position, so right now I'm thinking my stop, at least on the new purchase, is going below here, which is about 1975 or so. But MDTL looks like it could stage a little bit more of a rally here, perhaps up to that 20-day moving average, which right now is at about 21.5 or so. So I think there's pretty good potential for upside here. Let's see what tomorrow brings. The 5-day moving average is rising again. That's bullish to see. MENT. I had suggested that perhaps we could buy this one after Friday's bullishness in the pullback. That pullback came on lighter volume and kind of had a heavy volume stamp here at the end of the day. I'd suggested buying 21.75 to 21.80. It gapped up. There was no real place to purchase it based on what I had originally said. If you're involved in it, I would say stop probably goes below this level. If you're being pretty tight with your stops, below here. If you're being a little bit more conservative. OPTV, this is when I said buy above 378. It opened right around that level and then pulled back a little bit right in here. I'd purchased some in there, still own it, and I'd actually didn't get filled on the whole thing. didn't chase it. I added to it right over in here. So now I've got my position in OPTV. Stock acts really good. The weekly time frame, you can see it's coming up towards these old highs here. So I think 410, 415, we might see a little bit of a slowdown, but if it can punch through that level, then looking at this weekly or rather monthly time frame, and I've got to get the scaling correct here, but if it can get above that high at about 415, then I think we've got the potentials for about a $5 stock or so. So OPTV does act strong, had a nice volume day in here, continue to hold this one. PPHM, Peregrine Pharmaceuticals. I bought some of this today. It really needs to get above that 72-cent level, though, or above 71. So it suggested buying a half position, adding to it above this 71-cent level, buying at 72. I think, probably might add to this tomorrow. So building a nice little series of higher lows and coming up to this level of resistance and testing it. Looks like it's just a matter of time before it is able to break out through that level. Quest, I had mentioned that we wanted to buy this one above these recent highs here. Looks like it hasn't done it. No reason to get involved yet. However, if it can get above that 768, then that's where you would want to purchase the stock. And you see it tied that 768 today, but didn't trade up above that level. And that's what we were looking for Quest, was a move above 768. You can see a couple times it traded right to that level. Now, if you're going to buy this stock, I'd say your stop can go below the 758. So that's the nice thing there, is that it reduced the risk for us a little bit, perhaps. SIRF, SIRF Technology. This stock I had suggested selling short below $30 a share. You can see the low in here today was exactly $30. It didn't go below 30, so there was no reason to get involved. I still think you can keep your eye on this and potentially look for a short below $30 a share in this one. Whole Foods, WFMI. I had suggested in here that we wanted to see a rally that gets up to about 62.30 and then see that fail. That didn't really happen. I did end up buying some puts in here today. I bought them when it was over here thinking it was going to decline. I still own those puts. I still think the stock can get creamed, but we'll have to see what happens in here. I'm not thrilled with the way it closed with this strength, but I continue to hold those puts. I think if it starts breaking down again tomorrow, then maybe you can re-examine it. I'm not sure exactly what level yet, but maybe I'll update that later. Lehman, I had suggested in here that you want to short it below $62 and $62.30. That's correct. 62.70 rather. It opened below there, but I'm going to say it didn't really give us an entry, because if you sold it on the open, that's just a foolish thing to do. You never want to sell short on that initial weakness, and you never want to go long on the initial strength if it gaps higher. So while I said below, what I always mean, and I hope you understand this, is I want to see it trade down through there, rally up, and then get some resistance. Then roll over and find an area we can reset that stop. If you did get in this stock, based on what I suggested, under 62.30, 62.70 rather, then you should have gotten stopped out with that stop I had suggested at 63.10. So even if you did take the trade, I think it's a very small loss, and the stock still looks pretty bearish to me. Again, my name is Brian Shannon. This blog here, Alpha Trends Blogspot. I appreciate your visiting, so please check back later this evening, and I will have another video for you that will have some trading ideas for Tuesday. Thanks again.